this sketchbook spread was inspired by the prompt pond from Peachtober, and I imagined that there would be a chicken coop maybe in the corner of the garden next to the pond. And that's why I decided to add a cute chicken because chickens are always so fun and cute looking when they run around like little dinosaurs, so with feathers. And then I added some strawberries and flowers to this sketchbook spread. Alright, so I zoomed in so we have a different preview, and let's go to the next one. And here you can see the sketchbook spread with colors now. And I wanted to mainly use green colors and some autumn colors for the landscape. And then I use the same warm color tones for the chicken. And then I colored in the rest, and then I used one of the sketchbook papers as a background for this spread. So you can find all the links in the description if you don't know where to find the sketchbook papers and also my brushes. Alright, and this one was done for one of the classes I was making at the time, and the class was about sketching mini portraits with simplified shapes. And there I talked about how you can combine different colors for the skin tones with different hair colors and colors of the jumpers or the outfit of the characters. And they were kind of kept in a generic face shapes because I wanted to focus only on the colors and maybe hairstyles and simplified clothing. So the next illustration, this one was based on the prompt pumpkin and pansies, so that's why I included these flowers, and I was already kind of practicing drawing more hands because I didn't draw them for longer and I was preparing the class about drawing hands. And here I found like a recipe with pansies and pancakes, so these are kind of like cookies combining the two prompts, which is quite fun. And here you can see the colored version, and I'm not super big fan of this color palette or how this sketchbook spread turned out in terms of color, but it was time to move on, so this is it. Then yeah, so this next illustration is from the hands drawing class, where I talk about how I approach drawing hands, and these hands are, you know, more stylized in the form of straight lines because I wanted to design these into more graphic illustrations, so more flat shapes. But the theory and the way how you can approach drawing hands can be applied in different styles of drawing hands as well. Alright, so with this next sketchbook spread, I wanted to practice drawing more kind of forest setting, and because before I was drawing or researching more autumn setting, I wanted to draw something which felt more like a spring, and I wanted to use some green color tones and basically practice simplifying the complex shapes of forests, because there is always so much happening in the forest. And I also wanted to draw something with water, so in this one I included small waterfalls in both. And this one I thought maybe it can have like a lot of birds and frogs and butterflies. Maybe you can see it, so there are like small birdies and they're flying around, and maybe there will be more frogs and stuff. So I think this can be also fun to color. And if you follow me also already on Insta, and you know, you saw that I colored this version because most of you guys voted for the fox version. So then here you can see the colored version, and also you saw here that I animated this illustration. If you didn't see, you can just go back to some of my videos in the playlist and find the animation of this one. And this one was definitely interesting to illustrate, because first when I was illustrating it I didn't plan on animating it, otherwise I would select it and painted the layers kind of differently because I didn't separate the layers properly for animation. So if you're deciding to animate, definitely separate the layers better. But this was a good practice for simplifying nature and water, and I think it turned out very nicely, like this serene kind of meadow in the forest. And yeah, so I liked how this illustration turned out. And this next spread is again inspired by autumn because it was still the time of the year where you see these beautiful colors of the trees and pumpkins and, the warm color tones everywhere. So yeah, so this one was again pumpkins in the kind of like bike basket, and then maybe picnic in the park with coffee and a book, like the Sunday mood. And now I'm thinking about this, maybe this can be nice to animate, like the leaves are falling down and maybe there is like this steam from the mug. And then I decided to color this one. So I took similar approach. Well, let's look at the next spread. So I took similar approach as one of the previous illustrations that I did, that there is a window behind the cat and like bookshelves. But as you can see on this illustration, if I zoom in, the bookshelves and the surrounding colors are much lighter than in the previous illustration where everything was darker, kind of like you have the lightest area in the window, so there is the silhouette of the cat, and then the rest was kind of subdued. But in this case, I used brighter colors because I still wanted to, I still wanted that the books are visible in the illustration. And I also like how this illustration turned out, so yay! I always like when that happens, when you like how the illustration turned out, because that's not always the case. So here the autumn turned more into winter, so I wanted to do more themed illustrations. So I created different scenes. So one is more kind of deep in the forest. I mean, not so deep because you still have this nice cabin there. And then this one is more like a park, so it's more open setting. And I kind of like both, but maybe this one is maybe less interesting because the characters are quite far. So I like this one. And friends of ours have the cutest sausage dogs ever, so I included this cutie here. So I think these dogs are definitely interesting to draw because they have interesting silhouette. And then I added the scarf, well, because it's winter. Alright, the next one. So you can see I chose one of the illustrations there on the spread and I added the colors, and maybe you saw the process which I shared of this illustration in one of the previous videos. So exploring how to combine different brushes within this illustration. And when choosing colors for this illustration, I wanted to add more colors. So I added these kind of reddish brown leaves to the scene, because sometimes when you draw illustrations kind of with winter color palettes, maybe they can turn out quite bland or just blue, but snow and winter settings can have so many color versions and color varieties, so you can use different types of color palettes. And I kind of got inspiration from the Frozen movie, because there they did such a good job with using different color palettes while still having the winter setting. So if you're looking for inspiration when drawing winter scenes, Frozen movie is a great source. So yeah. Okay, the next one. So this sketchbook spread was created for the prompt Aristocats. If you saw that movie and December art challenge. And here I wanted to combine different cats in different Christmassy settings, because this was also created during that time of year. And because cats at home during the Christmas or during the, any time of year can kind of get into all kinds of mischief, like tangling themselves in the lights or just sleeping basically anywhere they think. So I thought that can be quite funny. So yeah, so that was the idea behind this spread. Then this sketchbook spread was inspired by the prompt Family and Childhood Week, because on our summer family trips when I was small, we used to go to these like rocky beaches, and that was one of my fave activities during the summer holidays. Also like swimming, snorkeling, and watching the crabs kind of hiding in the rocks. And I'm still fascinated by all the marine life and animals that you can see around in the beach setting. So that was the idea behind this one. Then if we go to the next one, this one was inspired by the prompt winter flowers, and I didn't really research what type of winter flowers they are, because probably they don't look like daisies and this type of, reddish flowers, but I thought that can be nice to add in this type of illustration. So I kept the background quite simple, and then I added flowers to the foreground. And then here you can see the combination of some of the illustrations that I created during that season. So this was the setting from the forest with the cottage and the recent illustration. And then I added some color to one of the cats from the sketchbook spread you just saw. Then the next one, this one was inspired by the prompt pajamas and presents. And then also there was the prompt 101 Dalmatians movie. So I combined these prompts into different, versions of the illustration. And this one was, I think, more interesting because you have more dogs in the setting, and also the layout is quite nice. Even though this layout is not bad, but the characters are quite far. So yeah. And then I colored the version with the 2 characters next to the window and 3 Dalmatians. So yeah, and also Christmassy setting. And in this one, I was trying to explore how different watercolor brushes can behave and the variety of watercolor brushes that you would need to create illustration, or the ones I would be happy in one set. So this was part of the exploration when I was creating the watercolor brushes, and I plan to do a tutorial about how to paint and draw settings with rain. So that will be definitely one of the upcoming tutorials, kind of settings with rain. Okay, the next sketchbook spread was based on the red-billed oxpeckers and it was the prompt for drawing birds, and I thought it would be nice to combine them with the natural setting that they usually live, because they live in Africa and they are helping the animals to get rid of bugs and different insects. So they're definitely interesting birds, and yeah, this was fun to explore basically the background behind the bird type, not only how it looks, but how they kind of live in the nature and how they interact with the environment and other animals. So the prompt for this illustration or this sketchbook spread you can see here on top, and I also researched how these birds behave in the nature, and I also combined it with a different prompt which was cherries. And for this sketchbook spread, I tried to keep a very limited color palette, mostly based on the blue color, as you can kind of guess from the birds, because they were mostly blue. And in this next one, I wanted to draw corgis because I saw one of these like super cute fluffy corgis on a walk, and then I decided to create 2 different settings. And then this sketchbook spread, you can see the sketch and the colored version of the illustration of the girl in the kind of greenhouse taking care of the flowers. And this idea was inspired by the prompt Devoted Gardener and Happy Pets Week art challenge list. And for this one, I used the watercolor brushes because that was the time when I finally finished my watercolor brush set, and I'm happy how it turned out. So yeah, so this was based on that. And here we have the next sketchbook spread, and this one I based on the dragon fruit. So this whole color palette was based on the dragon fruit and the color of the dragon fruit, and I love how it tastes and also the bright color that it has. But I'm not usually using this super bright pink or this cold pink color, so I'm still not sure how I feel about the color palette here, but it's different and it's good to try, I think, different color palettes. And this one was combined also with another prompt, which was from the bird drawing art challenge. So yeah, it was nice to combine, and I think this would be the spread where we finish this video. So please let me know in the comments which one was your favorite and maybe what would you like to see in one of the sketchbook spreads. And thank you so much for being here. And if you enjoyed the video, please like the video. And I want to thank you again for being here and talk to you in the next video. Bye!